Hi everyone, I hope you're well and safe. I'm just popping on here to read you The Polka Dot Horse. So, I know you're familiar with the story already, but it's always good to revisit the story. So, it was 7 o'clock on a sunny summer morning when the Polka Dot Horse trundled away. No one saw him go, but no one would have cared, for the Polka Dot Horse had grown old. Once, long ago, he had been the king of the toys, but others had taken his place. He had been tossed to a corner of the garage and forgotten. In time, he would be thrown away. The Polka Dot Horse feared the dustbin above all else, and so, on that drowsy Sunday, he decided to escape. His wooden heart thumped as he rolled along. His wheels rocked and tumbled over the lumpy, bumpy lane, and the echo of the clackety-clop ran down into the valley, where sheep and cattle raised their heads to watch as the little figure passed by. Sometimes he would prick up his ears at the patter of the squirrel feet on twigs, or glimpse the bobtail of a rabbit in the hedgerow. Look at these pictures. And once he spied a pair of marching magpies strutting in the sun, with their heads cocked, their tails high and proud. "Where are you going?" shrilled the swallows, wheeling and dipping in the bright blue sky. But the Polka Dot Horse could only shake his head. "I don't know," he said, and there was a whisper of worry in his soft brown voice. At length, he climbed a grassy slope and reached a tangled hedge. It was 10 times higher than the Polka Dot Horse and covered with brambles and dog roses with wild white flowers that smelled of Christmas trees and summer mornings, all rolled into one. The hedge was broken by a 5-bar gate that stretched across the stony track. It was open just a crack. The Polka Dot Horse nudged his nose into the gap and pushed. Then, very slowly, he rumbled through. Before him lay a patchwork world of horses, romping in the meadow, strolling in the sun. And the Polka Dot Horse began to sing inside as he turned down to face the path. He moved slowly at first, wobbling just a little. But the track grew steep and his wheels lost their grip. He lurched from side to side, pitching and tumbling, toppling and stumbling on the stones that littered the way. And he closed his eyes in horror as he looked down the slope and saw a tree sprawled across his path. His front wheels slammed against the trunk and the Polka Dot Horse soared up into the air. "Help!" he cried as he turned a somersault and plummeted towards the ground. But nobody saw him plunge into the wet and dirty corner of the farmyard. He lay helpless in the deep, dank straw, one leg broken and 2 wheels cracked. The afternoon faded into homecoming time. The Polka Dot Horse watched through muddy eyes as the hens scuttled up to their roost. He spied the farm cat prowl silently by in search of a suppertime treat. And he lifted his ears when a voice called out, "Jane, Jonathan, come and get your tea." He didn't notice the great shaggy shape that crossed the yard. To where he lay. But he looked up into the face of a huge farm dog and felt its warm breath on its head. His dirty, bruised body was rigid with fright as the dog nuzzled his splintered wheels. He tried to squeal and shut his eyes when the sharp white teeth and panting tongue came close. He thought he might faint when it opened its mouth and picked him up. The dog trotted slowly across the cobbled yard and into the farmhouse kitchen. It lay down, head between its paws, and dropped the polka dot horse onto the flagstones. Yuck! What is that? Jonathan slid from his chair and peered at the grubby toy. His mother glanced down. I expect it's just an old lump of wood. Go away, Trojan, and take that horrible thing with you. The polka dot horse tried to speak, but his mouth was full of straw. A single dirty tear slid down his nose. Then suddenly he felt someone lift him from the floor. Jane laid him gently on her lap. Isn't it a piece of wood, Mum? It isn't a piece of wood, Mum. It's a little horse. She peeled away a clod of mud and waggled the broken leg. He needs a good scrub and some strong glue. I'll sort him out when I've finished my tea. She took him to the bathroom where he was bathed in a bubble-filled tub. She washed his mane and tail with proper shampoo and wrapped him in a fluffy blue towel. She glued and bandaged his broken leg and mended his rickety wheels. His white paint gleamed and his glass eyes shone as they had done a long time ago when he was new. And when Jane held him up to the mirror, he almost laughed and neighed out loud. The moon was rising as she settled him on a soft cushion and told him to rest and recover. He dozed on a cosy and warm pillow while she ran downstairs and busied herself in the kitchen. He slumbered on as she crept through the door and pottered quietly in the corner. But he awoke with a sneeze when she stroked his nose and whispered, "Come and see." The polka dot horse stretched his leg and blinked. He gazed sleepily about the room. Then a warm glow spread from his middle to his ears and trickled up to the tip of his tail. Next to the bed sat a cardboard box stable, its door wide open and a blanket tucked inside. And as she snuggled down to dream, he breathed the blissful sigh of a toy that was glad to be home. The end.